She's right there.
I'm sorry, this is really wrong. We all know that war is wrong. That's the bottom line. And we don't need to be negotiating on a buildup that's just going to cause more destruction. And we all know the United States' top weapon is depleted uranium. And you know what? I'm just not ready to live through another nuclear war. If
in answer to her statement that you made earlier, I am monitoring everything that happens here at Guam. If you ever hear or see anything, you be sure you correspond with my office. I'm there monitoring. I fight for Guam every day in Washington. How would you like to see legislation coming out sometimes with just the states? To raise my hand, don't pick the territories. She does the same thing. So ladies, you've got people there that are fighting for Guam.
No decision will be made until the final record of decision is signed. And that is after the draft environmental impact statement is released in about January of 2009. And there'll be a period where you'll be able to go through it, line by line, word by word, detail by detail, and make your public comment. There'll be hearings held where all the issues will be addressed.
First and foremost, I do want to say that given the opportunity to vote for the Marines to come or not to come, my answer is no, don't come. We sit here today in this hotel that's maybe 3, 4 stars, and if you just go out to the street, Congresswoman Christensen, and drive up the hill to our only civilian hospital, I know your background is that of a medical doctor, you will be appalled at the state of our healthcare. And how is it possible that these two extremes on one pole exist in a place that's so geographically isolated to be able to access adequate health care? We've talked about the Chamorro people are really high incidences across the country in comparison to U.S. standard populations in cancer, with diabetes, with ESRD. We have 4 ESRD centers here in Guam, and Guam is really small. Now, what accounts for that, if you ask me? Largely related to the environmental exposure in this country, in this island. And so I think at a very minimum, we need to visit that hospital. We need to see what we can do to beef it up. Because people are dying every day on this island because they can't afford a plane ticket to go somewhere to receive basic radiation treatment if you're diagnosed with cancer. Now look at the number of us in this room. How many would you say, based on standard calculations, will develop cancer? 3, 4? And unless you have money, you're going to die. That's the de facto situation here. To me, that's dire. So to ask me that about architectural plans or what have you, quite frankly, our community is in such dire straits as it is. That to ask us to take on any more burden of this U.S. militarization, I think is very selfish of the U.S. government. We have paid our price. Many people, all of us come from descendants who've been in that war. So don't talk to me about safety with the U.S. military being here, because quite frankly, that puts us target spot, war zone. How many of you folks can say that you come from a place where there was active war zone? Right? And 50 years later, we can't get compensation for it. So please don't patronize me with asking me to be patriotic, because this is way beyond that thing.
Yes, there are lots of federal grants out there, but perhaps one of the things that can be looked at is actual allocation to Guam. A great deal of us have a disconnect with the federal government, the U.S. military, and what actually happens. The other thing that I would like to mention is, I voted yes for the military to come here, for the Marines, for the movement, simply because, in my mind, and I'm being very honest about this, it's a done deal. Okay, that's in my mind. I may be thoroughly wrong, and if I'm proven incorrect, that's okay too. I will take that back. But in the event that it does occur, that assessments be continually done to see the impact. I know we're not going to get everything that these fabulous women, on behalf of all women and children on Guam, have presented, but whatever, allow us to negotiate as women, and allow us, please, to implement a win-win situation on behalf of Guam.
I'm a longtime student of Guam. I've been here my entire life. I've gone to college here, and I'm now a young teacher. and I'm very emotional right now. It was very difficult for me to explain to students why we have a living modern segregation continuing on this island with our public school students, even private school students, existing alongside DODEA students who, because of their almost limitless federal funds, are able to have, take our better teachers from our Guam public school system. I myself am replacing public school teachers who have been, brought over to DODEA because they have more funding and everything. And I feel that, if our education is so important, why must a school where only certain people can go, modern living segregation that we had in the 60s, is still on Guam, in U.S. territory? We're all U.S. citizens, aren't we? Why do we have separate rights and separate facilities and everything? So I just wanted to mention that as a teacher and a student, that this issue, not just health, not just our safety, but our future education of our students should also be taken into account. Thank you, Mrs. Wilson.
Christensen and I are going over side camp. We're going to discuss their immigration problems.
Ilahi, give